Good morning, it's Mary. Talk to Me Tuesday on Tuesday, December 25th, 2018. And I had a busy week. Kind of hiding in my quilting this week. My friend who is dying is still dying. No one thought she would make it through last weekend. Nobody thought she would make it through the weekend before that. Who knows what she's doing? I'm going to go see her today. I see her every day, and so I still can't wear my contacts because I just don't know when tears are just going to float them right out of my eyes, and I've lost all my contacts with floating issues, and so I'm back to classes. Anyway, so I have been trying to get caught up on some projects. I'm still behind on all of them, but that's okay because that's kind of me. First on Hocus Pocus, I did finish the last week we had the It's Just a Bun block, and this week we have It's Just a Bunch of blocks. So I finished that one. I'll put a finished picture of that right here. Now, I didn't notice until after I took the picture and put it on the design wall that it's off center, and that's something that will bother me. Some things I can live with and some things I can't, and that being off center, especially since Hocus Pocus will be centered if things go right. Who knows? We can off center them one way and one the other way, and it would all balance out, I guess. But anyway, I trimmed it, and there's just not enough margin on the right side. So I'm going to fix that, and that's going to be centered. The second block in Hocus Pocus that I finished this week is Danny's hat. It was fast, easy, big, just like I like them, all from fabrics I just had sitting around, and so I'll put a picture of that here. That one is centered, and the band on that was a charm square that I got in one of these. You know, some of my quilt shops have these annual subscriptions where they send you something every month, and one of them was the charm packs, and so that was just a 5-inch orange polka dot charm that I got years ago and thought this is going to come in handy one day, and sure enough it came in handy this week. So I finished those two blocks, which are the equivalent of 4 6-inch blocks for Danny's hat and 8 6-inch blocks for Just a Bunch of, and so that was like doing 12 of the individual blocks. I also tested a pattern for a girl who is submitting a Hocus Pocus 12-inch for me, 10-inch for her pattern, which I can't talk about because those don't get released until tomorrow. So, and possibly later because she had some things going on and I was testing it and we got it in on the last day. So, we'll see about that one. But it's cute and it's a good pattern. We got all the kinks out of that one. So that was a good productive week on Hocus Pocus. Then the one I made the most progress on was the one I've been neglecting up here, the medallion mystery. Thanks for joining me for morning coffee. You did miss breakfast. This one is now one of my hesitations on this, besides the fact that I had to make 40 of this block and 10 of this block, and then I have 8 more of another block, but we're not to that one yet. I'm not. People are finished with these, and they're all quilted and bound and gifted, and they're beautiful. But one of the reasons I hadn't really sewn it together, two reasons. One is this block we had 8 of, and they were designed to go in the middle, and these 2 blocks were going to go on either side. And so this square was going to show a square made out of these, and it was going to be lying behind this center. And I liked that, but I really like this block, and I really like this brown in there, which isn't showing up. This is meant to be a masculine quilt that I might give to my brother if he wants it. Well, I assumed he would, and now I'm guessing he might not. But this brown is a good, deep, woodsy, bare brown, and it only shows up again in the outside border. And so I did want more of this, and I wanted that square to, instead of being this big from here to here, I wanted it to be this big from here to here. And I know you math geniuses are following this. I don't know about the rest of you on the first cup of my coffee. But anyway, I had to decide if I was going to do that, how it was going to change everything else. I had these things come in complete strips coming down, and then I had to rip out the center to put this in, and then I had to make 8 more of these. I've made 2, so I have 8 of the new blocks and 6 more of these, but these go easy. And so I stared at it for a few weeks, and I figured out, yes, I did want to do that, and no, it wasn't going to mess up any of the math. These blocks already had a 3-inch strip on the bottom. These are 6-inch blocks. These are 9-inch blocks, so it is lining up nicely. It's not messing up anything else, and I could have redesigned the outside borders and all that, but I won't have to, which was kind of a surprise to me. I was ready to do that. So that's one of the holdups, and the other one was the borders. You see this border? Let me put a close up of that border here for you, so you know what we're talking about. All right, this border is a little bit louder than the rest of the quilt. The rest of the quilt has good designs on it. It has animals. It has the green and the red and this cream have writing on them. And so it's when you get close to it, it's a pretty active quilt, but standing back from it like we are, it begins to look like solids and then this border. Well, being a mystery quilt, I didn't know where this border was going, and I actually thought that the stripe that is in this one was going to be that border, but it wasn't, and the stripe ended up in a really busy block, which is okay with me because I made one and stared at it for a couple days and decided it was okay to be that busy. But this one bothered me. It was different. It has leaves on it. It doesn't blend into solids. It's just bright, and it's introducing new colors. It's got yellows in there that I guess there are yellows in the rest of this pattern line that I didn't choose. And I was sticking to the reds and greens. And so I didn't know if I wanted to introduce this brightness and loudness into this otherwise from a distance not muted, but solid colored masculine quilt. And the leaves aren't feminine, they're just loud. And they're also very fallish, they're kind of fall leaves. And so did I want to make this seasonal? Well, I guess you hunt squirrel and bears in the fall. I don't know. I'm not a hunter. Bunnies, I don't know. I know they're born in the spring in droves, but I had hesitations about that. So I stared at it, and while I was figuring out my bigger square issue, I thought about it, and I thought, well, what are the options? I'm out of the stripe. I could put the stripe in there. It's got the same colors. It does have a little bit of the yellow in it, but it's not much, and it's got some white in it, but it's not much. And so I thought I could order some of the stripe, and then I would have this border, and then we got the final week directions, and I read forward, and I discovered something. There's another border, which I knew because it was in the fabric requirements, and this border came on a bolt of borders, is what I would consider it, but it's actually just three or four different stripes that you cut length of fabric, and so there was a 3-inch one, which is 3.5 if you cut the nice little piano keyboard on the edge of it, and then you sew half of that into the same allowance, so it's like a 1/4 of an inch of a border on my 3-inch border. And then the next border, which is out here and above some things up here and down there, is a 6-inch border, and one of the other borders on. So if I leave 2 of these borders together, and I'm not sure this is designed as borders, but it's my borders. If you leave 2 of them together, you get a 3-inch brown, which is going to pull this, which is I'm happy with, and then it adds up to 6 inches. It might be 2 inches of the brown and 4 inches of the other color, but the other color is bright, like this. It's not leaves, it's animals, but they are brighter. And so when that's added to this mix, this brightness and loudness isn't going to bother me. And so it's going to pull the whole thing louder, which I'm okay with. I just don't want one square being louder. So, and again, I don't know if any of this matters to any of you or if any of you care, but it's one of the things that bothers me. I have to have a quilt that's consistent. So got that worked out. Once it was worked out, I could start assembling. So everything from this border in is now one piece. So that's pretty cool. And it is, let's see, 36 inches with the border, because this row is, you know what? I'm not even telling the truth. This row is 9 inches. So this border, the outside of this border is 36 inches, but everything is sewn from this border in. This much of it is now one piece. So that is 36 plus 18 is 54-ish. I need more coffee. Inches. Square. So I have all of this finished and one of these to test, and it's done testing. It's ready to sew on. So I'm ready to sew 3 more borders on it, which is going to make it 18 inches bigger than 52 or 54, whatever we came up with. And then one of the problems becomes I have figured out what I'm going to do in the medallion quarters, because when this was just these, it was just going to be a red block, a 9-inch red square, and that's not working for me anymore. So I did figure it out. It's going to be this, which is a cream with words printed on it, and the red, and it's going to form a corner. It's going to be nice. And so I got that figured out, but I don't have enough red because I used it on everything else, so including these. So I'm going to have to order some more red, which is easy. It's, get online, order it, shows up in the next couple of days. But I don't want to order that until I figure out the rest of it, because I don't want to order twice. And so I need to do some math, stare at this a little more, and once I figure out my borders, I'll know if I need any more fabric, and then I'll be ready to order it and I can finish this. So I'm going to put 2 of these sides on, and I'll have the other 2 ready except for the corner medallions, and that'll make it that big. And then while I'm waiting for my fabric, I'm going to do these 10 and the other 8 make 2 other borders. You alternate them and put them top and bottom. And then I need to start looking at size, because this one is about full size bed, and I'd like it to be maybe a little longer. So, and also before I order my pillows, my other fabric, I'm going to figure out what I need for pillowcases, because I ended up with 8 extra ones of these, which I can put into pillowcases. I ended up with some of this border left over, which I can put in pillowcases, and but I don't want to come up short on those. Once I decide I want 2 pillowcases, once I decide how those work, I don't want to come up short and have to order fabric again. Not that I'm not going to be ordering fabric for other things soon anyway. So I don't know why I'm hesitating on that, except that they're shipping. And if you have more than $40 or $50, the shipping is free, and I'm going to get a yard of these that I need. So it's not enough to get the free shipping. So anyway, I think that's major progress. I really like how it's coming together. I had 3 of these green blocks. I don't know if you guys do this. If you do traditional piecing more than I do, you probably don't do this because you're better at it. But 3 of these big green pieces, these pieces are big. These pieces are, I guess, 9-inch. Yeah, these are 9-inch flying geese. And so that's quite a big piece of green. And 3 of them, in fact, it was this one and these 2. I don't know if you see those yellow pins on there, but I put pins on 3 of them. They were saggy. They were just kind of hanging down. The seams were straight and everything, but the fabric wasn't tight. So when I put the border on, I tightened up one of these, and it tightened up fine as soon as I just fixed my error and made that seam. I know it was this seam right here. I ripped that out, just the middle part, tucked it back in, and it's nice and tight now. These 2 are still saggy, so I need to fix those. No biggie, but that's what those pins are, so I don't forget. So anyway, I do feel very good about that progress, because rather than just having blocks sitting on my design wall, I now have something that's looking like a quilt, and that feels good. So, just 2 more things I want to talk to you about. I have been looking at my quilting, what I plan to get done. I'm trying to plan ahead and do good things like that, which is, kind of not been a plan of mine in years past. Lately, I have gotten very organized. I have a journal I've been keeping for 3 years, and I have to-do lists every day, and I get through them, and I'm getting everything done. But my quilting's not on schedule. It's just my free time, and so it's outside of my journal. So last year, I think several of us made these quilting status charts, and I had like 3 things on it, and one of them was, well, it was more than that. One of them was I wanted to do the superhero quilt for a child, and I wanted to make a superhero pillow for my daughter, and there was something else on there that I needed to do, and I got all those done, but I put them on my chart. I never looked at my chart again, and then when I opened my chart, here it is December, then there they are, and they're done. So, and then not on the chart when I started this last December was the baby quilt, which is now on the chart finished. It's the blue It's color coded, you see. This this blue no, the blue is just my headings, but this square one outlined is finished. And then I have other sheets. I have my one with my pictures of the finished ones. I have my one of anyway, I have several sheets, and then this also goes on a finished one, finished list, because I love finished lists, you know. So if you're doing spreadsheets, you might as well keep going. You got as many pages as you can handle, and I can handle about 6 on this. So this shows my total. Can you see that? 2018 1. I finished a quilt this year. I actually didn't even count the other things I did because I just threw this together in the last couple days. But in 2018, I finished a quilt, and to lots of you, that's not an accomplishment. But I didn't start until September. I didn't quilt for 7 years, and then I started back in September, and I finished a quilt. So yay! And then these are my 2019 goals, and you're not going to believe this. I have 10 quilts on here before I open my UFO closet. And between now and New Year's, I'm hoping to open my New Year's Eve, I don't have a New Year's Eve closet. I have a UFO closet, and figure out, I was going to do 3 or 4 things in there that I would like to get finished in 2019. And I haven't gotten to, one of them is on here. So anyway, I have 10 items that I want to get finished in 2019 before I open my UFO closet. So this is going to get bigger. And I'll tell you what they are, because I want you guys periodically to say, hey, whatever happened to that one you told us in December you were going to finish in 2019, and here it is, August. So obviously I've got my mystery medallion. Obviously I've got my Hocus Pocus. Obviously I've got my New Orleans Saints and my LSU Tigers, which I have designed but not started except for the one test one. So that's 4. The other 6 are, let's have a look. Oh, Jelly Roll Swap. So excited about that. Can't start it until we swap, which is going to be a couple months. So that is 5. I may be doing the Star Trek row-along. Don't know yet. So that's not on my list of 10. But, you know, if your goal is going to be 14 or 15, why not 20? You know? So, but the Jelly Roll quilt is on here, and that's 5. Then the UFO that I am committed to work on, I may not finish this because it's a big one, is I have a snowman quilt that I started so many years ago, and I was so in love with it. It is hand appliqued fleece. Just the snowman is the fleece. The rest is quilting fabric. And I was hand appliquing that. I need to find it. It is a 12-month. It was a block of the month, or I think, design that's no longer in print. And I got into it years after it was a block of the month, while it was still in print. And I got 6, 7, 8 of the patterns. And then they became impossible to find. So I'm going to have to see if anybody's got those on eBay or somewhere. And if not, I'm going to have to find a finished photograph of the quilt, which I don't even think I have. It should have come with block 1, but I don't think I have it. And I can fake it from there. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a beautifully designed, challenging quilt, but once you've made over half of these snowmen, if I had a picture of it, I could fake the rest. It may not be as nice as the original design, but it'll do. So I do have a pattern issue, but in the meantime, I have lots of snowmen that I need to hand applique. So I want to find that in the next week, dig it out, figure out where I am, and start appliquing, because that's something I can do in bed at night. That's something I can do waiting in the doctor's office. That's something I can do, take with me and get done. So it's going to be tons of work, but it's in between work. It's not going to interfere with my quilting time. So that's why that's on here as number 6. And I remember, don't trust my memory, I remember that I have enough fabric for the blocks and possibly the sashing, because the sashing really needs to be the same as these blocks. It's kind of like the Hocus Pocus quilt, the blocks kind of mesh together. And so if I don't have enough fabric for that, we've got an additional problem, because I started this quilt 10 or 12 years ago, and I don't know how old the fabric was at that time. So that fabric is long gone. So anyway, that's going to be a big challenge for me in 2019. And like I said, I want to make progress on it in 2019. And if I can complete it, I think once the hand applique is done, it's going to come together pretty quickly. But I don't know if that's a realistic goal to finish that in 2019, but we're going to find out. My mom gave me, this is funny, I don't know how many, 2 or 3 unfinished quilt tops when she had to stop quilting because of her arthritis in her eyes. And so I need to finish those before my eyes get so bad I can't do it. And those aren't on my list yet either. So, because those are in the UFO closet. So anyway, that's 6. It only includes one thing out of my UFO closet. 7 is this is so typical me. I want to design a quilt for my other brother, not the one I'm making this for. I found an inspirational design that is using a technique I have not used before. And it won't do. I would love it to just work for this wall hanging or quilt or whatever it's going to end up. I would love it to just work, but it won't. And the reason is this is a gorgeous quilt. It's got a lighthouse. It's got sailboats. It's on the sea. It's got a picket fence. It's beautiful. And if you haven't seen it, it's called All Roads Lead to the Sea. I will put a copy of that here. Okay, isn't that pretty? I bought this pattern and I'm going to make it to learn her technique and to have a beautiful quilt, but it's not what I want from my brother, so I'm going to have to redesign that and decide if I'm going to use her technique or not. So then the only other thing I want to talk to you about is between now and New Year's, I think I need to get into my UFO closet, figure out what's in there, figure out what I'm going to try to get done in 2019, and get those on my list. So I'm sorry this is so long. I'm sorry that I just talked all day, and during that when I inserted that photo, I had to change my shirt because I spilled my coffee all over myself, right down to my skin, and that was not comfortable. So anyway, for those of you celebrating Christmas, I hope you have a great one. For those spending time with family, I hope you enjoy them. And for those traveling, I hope that you're safe. And have a great week. I will see you next week. Goodbye.